Let's talk about a massive shift that's happening, kind of behind the scenes, in our financial world. It's all about what happens when debt, and the things tied to it, like houses, go completely digital. And trust me, the ripple effects are way bigger than you might think.
You know, it's a question that hopefully feels pretty distant for most of us, but it's a harsh reality for some. And deep inside that whole process, the seizing and selling of a major asset like a home, a quiet little revolution has been brewing.
Yeah, for the longest time, the whole thing was exactly what you'd picture from an old movie. A bunch of bidders would literally gather in a physical room, and an auctioneer would stand up front, talk really fast, and a property would be sold.
But here's the thing. That old system, it was just broken. I mean, think about it. With only local bidders, the sale prices were often way lower than they should have been. The process was slow, clunky, and because it wasn't very transparent, it could open the door to all sorts of shady stuff. It was a bad deal for the creditor, and, frankly, an even worse one for the person losing their home.
And that brings us to the modern fix. To solve all these problems, justice systems all over the world are moving this entire process online. They're creating something called judicial e-auctions.
So, what on earth is a judicial e-auction? Honestly, the best way to get your head around it is to think of it like a specialized, super high-stakes eBay, but for foreclosed assets. It's still a formal legal process, but every single step, from advertising the property to submitting bids and finalizing the sale, it all happens on a digital platform.
And look, this isn't just some random idea a few places are trying out. It's actually a big, coordinated international effort. There's an organization called the CPEJ, that's the Council of Europe's Commission for the Efficiency of Justice, and they've actually published this super detailed guide to make sure these e-auctions are set up fairly and effectively across dozens of countries.
So why make this switch? Well, the benefits are pretty incredible. Taking it online opens up the auction to bidders from all over the world, which drives up competition and gets a much better sale price. The whole thing is faster, everything is digitally recorded, so it's totally transparent, and it gets rid of the physical intimidation that could happen at those old-school auctions.
And this isn't just a theory, right? It's already happening on a massive scale. As of 2022, a full 27 member states of the Council of Europe had already rolled out judicial e-auctions. This isn't just a trend, it's a full-blown digital transformation of their justice systems.
Okay, but this whole digital shift isn't just about the tech. It's actually being paired with something much bigger, a complete rethinking of the rules to make the whole system more humane, to balance the rights of everyone involved.
This quote right here from the EU's brand new Consumer Credit Directive really says it all. It signals a massive change in philosophy. It's about giving people who are in financial trouble a real shot to get back on their feet before the worst-case scenario, like foreclosure, is even on the table.
And just to be clear, this isn't some friendly suggestion. It's a hard rule. Lenders across the European Union will actually have a legal duty to show some leniency or forbearance and even guide struggling borrowers towards professional debt counseling. The whole point is to try to prevent foreclosure in the first place, not just make it run smoother.
And this idea of empowering the debtor, it's not just happening in the EU. In Russia, a new law has completely flipped the script. It used to be that the bank took over and sold the property, often for a rock-bottom price at auction. Now, that power shifts directly to the debtor. Under these new rules, debtors in Russia get a 4-month window to sell the property themselves, on their own terms. This is a game changer. It empowers them to go out and find the best possible price on the open market, pay off the bank, and, this is the crucial part, keep any money that's left over. It's a huge, huge shift from the old fire sale model.
All right, so we're getting pretty good at digitizing the sale of physical stuff like houses. But what happens with assets that were born digital? And that brings us to the next big frontier, the crypto conundrum. This is the million-dollar question, or maybe the million Bitcoin question, that legal systems are grappling with right now. How do you actually enforce a debt against something like a cryptocurrency? I mean, you can't exactly put a padlock on a digital wallet the way you can on a front door.
The tough reality is that our current laws and procedures were all designed for a world of physical stuff. Trying to apply them to these decentralized, purely digital assets, well, it's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. It just doesn't work.
The complexity here is just mind-boggling. Researchers have found there's no magic bullet. All the different kinds of cryptocurrencies have their own unique properties, which means we need totally new legal and technical tools to get hold of them. And in the end, success might depend on something that sounds a little strange:
creating regulated markets where these decentralized assets can be safely controlled and sold off.
So, let's pull this all together. We're looking at a future where more and more of our financial lives happen online. But making this transition work is all about finding a really delicate balance between all this cool technological progress and good old-fashioned human protection.
So you've got these two sides of the coin, right? On one hand, the wins are huge. Digital systems are more efficient, they're more transparent, and they lead to better financial outcomes. And these new rules are giving debtors more power than ever. But on the other hand, there are some serious risks. Not everyone has a laptop or is comfortable with this tech, and if we rely too much on software, we could strip the humanity out of a process that really needs it.
And that brings us to what might be the single most important safeguard of all. That CPEG guide we talked about is crystal clear on this point. Technology is just a tool. It's not the final judge. There must always be a human being, a real person who acts as the final guarantor, making sure the process is fair and that everybody's rights are protected.
So that leaves us with this big, lingering question. We're definitely making the system more efficient, no doubt about it. But are we actually making it more just? As we build out this new digital financial world, the great challenge will be to make sure that our technology serves our humanity, and not the other way around. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.